Hello, everybody, and welcome to Giving Back to Gwinnett, where we bring on nonprofits here in Gwinnett so they get to talk about what they do, why they do it, and basically how important it is that we have them. And I can honestly tell you, there's a need for every one of those folks that are here. With me today, I have Alli with Revved Up Kids. I have Veronica and Carla, Care4All Children's Services, Inc. Now, this is all about kids all the way around, completely all the way around, which is really cool. It's all about helping the children. What I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to ask questions. I'm just going to run with it, go with it. Okay, if I can not talk, which some people will be very proud of, will be a beautiful thing. I'll just drink water and just kind of look good back here. Alli, I'm going to start with you, darling. I'm also on the board with your organization, Revved Up Kids, and I'm very proud that I am, and I thank you for inviting me. I hope at some point you don't regret it. But I've talked with you before, and I've heard it from your heart, and that's what I want you to tell me from your heart as to why you are why you started Revved Up Kids.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. I feel like it's a little bit of nepotism that you're on my board and you had me on your show, but I'm grateful to be here.
That was a plan.
From my heart, I think that our mission is to address a really difficult topic and to help parents address it with their children. The truth is, more than 1 in 10 of our kids are sexually abused before they turn 18. And I think Veronica and Carla would maybe agree that that number is probably way higher based on the population that you serve. Mm-hmm. And parents don't know how to talk to kids about this to help keep them safer. It's real easy to talk about the guy in the park with the lost puppy, way harder to talk about Uncle Joe or Mr. Smith next door. And more than 90% of the time, that's who it's going to be. So as a parent, you feel like, how am I even possibly going to say that and, make my child think that everybody they know might want to sexually abuse them? So we at Revved Up Kids, our goal is to help make that an easier conversation for families and also help appropriately equip children to recognize this type of behavior and know that it's wrong and understand the importance of disclosing if anybody ever approaches them in that way.
It is a tough. I mean, like you said, you don't want a child to be afraid of all the, family.
Right, exactly.
But there are signs, I know, and I know that's what you train with classes for them so that they know, I guess, what to look out for. Is that a good way of putting it?
So, yes, like we have 3 different goals. One of the goals is to help change their understanding about who predators are, because most kids think it's a stranger. Mm-hmm. That's all they've ever heard from their parents. Be afraid of strangers. We talk to kids about unsafe people, and we say to them, unsafe people might be strangers that you've never seen before, but they also could be people that you know, even people that you care about, who might do these things to hurt you, and that's not okay. Right? So that's one of our goals, is change their understanding of who this person might be, and then change their personal self-protective behaviors. What can they be doing every day? And that's a lot about personal boundary setting and helping even parents understand children should control their bodies. Children should be in charge of who touches them. They don't have to accept forced physical contact, especially from adults, because predators rely on that they can push a child's personal boundaries and coerce them into unwanted physical contact. Because Mom and Dad have always said, I have to hug Grandma, even though she smells funny and she makes me uncomfortable. I still have to hug her. And I have to kiss Grandpa, even though he has sloppy, wet kisses. They force me to do it. So when another adult tries to force me to do it, what do I know, right? And then the last thing we try to do is equip them with an appropriate response if somebody is actually behaving in a predatory way. So what do I do in that moment? We roll in self-defense. If someone's actually physically trying to hurt them or take them, what can they do to hurt that person? Yeah, what can they do to hurt that person so they can run to safety? And then emphasizing the importance of disclosure. The kids need to know that they cannot keep that secret. Yeah. So that's really the overarching goals of all the programming that we have for children and teenagers.
Okay. Now, I got a question to ask, because some of this does hit a little close to home for me. One thing I had heard if you got family, okay, again, like you're saying, you don't, being told to kiss, but when a child is being abused by especially a family member, even in family gatherings, they tend to shy away from that. I guess it's almost, a parent could use, correct me if I'm wrong, could use it as a warning sign. If there's an uncle or an aunt, or that they're just, they gave them the hug, but they really felt uncomfortable around and they stay away from, that's a warning sign. Okay, so I want to make sure that, because that it is. I agree with you there, and I just wanted to make sure I was right, because, again, I'm a little closer to it than I'd like to be. You and I have actually discussed that. But it is what it is. We also have on the show the folks with Care4All Children Services. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read what was sent to me by Mike, and my reading, reading is fundamental, and I ain't learned it yet. Care4All Children Services this year's Gwinnett Chamber Small Business Award winner in the Community Contributor category. Yeah, awesome. Awesome. And that brings us to Veronica and Carla. And what Revved Up Kids does, and I know you two have talked and met, so, I think there's a synergy there. And there are so many groups that deal with foster children. In talking with some are involved in certain stages of a foster children's life. So where, if I may ask, do you guys fall into that category, or are you, front to back?
We are. So again, thank you for having us,
No
and
problem.
It's good to see you again, Alli. So yes, what Care4All does is that we are a therapeutic foster care agency. So when children come into custody in the state of Georgia, the counties refer the children to Care4All to be placed in our foster homes, and we get referrals from every single county in Georgia, and we place children in our licensed and approved foster homes, and we have homes in every county, from Gwinnett County to DeKalb to Fulton to Hall, Clayton County, Barrow County, and we place those children in our foster homes. And one of the things that we do with our foster children is we refer every child to therapy. Every child that comes in the door, we refer them to therapy, regardless if we don't know all of their history, but we refer them to therapy, and we let the therapist decide if they qualify for services. Because just coming into care alone is traumatizing. So if you remove me from my family today, like I said, I would be traumatized, and I'm a 40-plus-year-old woman. So imagine removing
You're just a youngster.
I know, right?
I'm the old man of the group.
So imagine removing a 9-year-old boy or a 6-year-old girl from her family and a trauma that's going to be on her, including the reason why she's being removed. It could be sexual abuse. It can be physical abuse. It can be from using corporal punishment and leaving bruises, which is child abuse. And so what we do is we try to make sure every child that comes in our care, they receive the therapeutic services that they need. And a lot of children, they come into custody for different things like educational neglect, substance abuse, and then when they're in custody, sometimes they disclose. And Carla, you can talk about that.
And we do have a lot of children who come into care, and it's months, and they've been placed with our foster parents, they've received services, and then one day they'll finally feel comfortable enough to open up and say, this happened to me when I was X number of years old, or I really don't feel comfortable going back for a visit with my mom and her boyfriend, or vice versa. And then they'll go ahead and say, this is what happened to me. Sometimes we get children who come to care because they were sexually abused. And it's really, really difficult. And it's difficult for the children because they don't know who they can trust. All right. And then how do we treat those children going forward? And then how do we prepare our foster parents for those children and the trauma that they have experienced, right?
I can only imagine what they have to be mentally prepared for a child that has, I guess, for like issues.
Trauma.
Trauma. But, that stuff that was not by them. It was brought on by
Their innocence being stolen.
Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, I got to ask you, so when a child says, I do not want to go, I mean, that's what happens. Because the reason I ask is you hear stories, I don't want to go, but, oh, no, that's your mom. She's okay. You got to go. And you're like, no, I don't want to go.
So when we have an incident like that and we have a child who is scheduled for a visit and they verbalize that they don't want to go, we have to call, their case manager and share that information with them, because we, Care4All, we can't say, okay, you can't go, because usually it's through a court order that they have to have these visits. And so we have lots of conversations with the caseworkers, their supervisors, administrators, program directors, and even their county directors to say, these are the concerns that the child is having. He or she is verbalizing it. They are getting physically sick. They can't function. Or when they return from the visits, it takes such a long time to kind of bring them back around. We need to all sit down and really talk about this. And so sometimes, unfortunately, they do have to go. They do have to go to the visits, and that's the reality of it.
Our system does not always work in favor of the child.
Right.
No.
But the thing is, at Care4All, we're all mandated reporters. We are, the staff, and the foster parents are. So if a foster child is saying, every time I go visit Grandma, Uncle Joe, he comes in my room, we are mandated reporters, and we have to report that. So we call and we report it, and then that starts an investigation in that home. Even though it's not a foster home, it's in that child's birth family's environment. We start that investigation because we are mandated reporters, and we're here to serve and protect the children, the most vulnerable of us all, the children.
So can you guys build like a little side room, and then when one of these people is caught for doing that, just put them in there and give me about 5 minutes with them? That's all I need.
Yes. I wish.
I think a lot of us working in this issue area all feel the same way about that, and we just have to trust that God will handle it.
Yeah. I mean, but having groups like Revved Up Kids, like Care4All children are needed, and this is where you guys there's a calling for that.
Absolutely.
I mean, and please don't get me wrong. I mean, there's always a calling for groups to help foster kids, but when I met Alli and her husband David with Revved Up Kids, I was like, wow. And again, I saw where getting them together with, and I know they do this a lot, and they do stuff, classes at schools, and working with a bunch of schools, and they have to know that it's okay to tell them.
Absolutely, and we're actually trying to do a partnership where Alli is going to come to Care4All and speak to our foster parents, as well as speak to some kids and give them some of the tools that they use to help keep these children safe.
We'll figure out a way to make that work.
Yes, absolutely.
I have this feeling about that.
Yes.
And a lot of times when we're working with the foster care population, a majority of those kids have already experienced either physical or sexual abuse. So we're hoping that somehow our training will empower them and give them a sense of control that, hey, I don't have to accept anybody treating me like that again, and equip them to be safer.
Yeah, and definitely to not, because you get that guilt trip. The kids feel guilty. That was my fault. It's almost like you hear with an abusive husband and it's not, and they got to know that, and they need the caring, and stuff. And
can I go back to something you said earlier about kids going to maybe a family gathering and avoiding a certain person in the room? One thing that we teach parents is to be really mindful of any adult or older teen that takes an extreme interest in your child. That's a huge red flag. Or B, your child losing interest in a person or an activity that they used to love.
Yes. Yeah.
Those are also red flags, and a lot of times parents just chalk that up to, kids, their tastes change, and that, but you got to dig deeper when something like that happens. If your child was like just loved baseball and wanted to just be so involved in their baseball team, and then suddenly said, I don't want to play anymore, what is going on there? And a lot of parents don't even have on their radar that something inappropriate might have happened to their child. They don't even know to ask the questions.
Or sometimes what's worse is they don't want to. Or
they don't, because they don't feel equipped to go there.
No, they don't.
And so when we work with Care4All children, sorry, we need an acronym.
Care4All.
Care4All.
Care4All. When we work with Care4All and we talk to parents, that's what we're going to do. We're going to help them feel empowered to make this an ongoing conversation. We don't want parents dusting this off whenever someone in a white van drives through their neighborhood, and that's what a lot of parents do. Yeah. Oh, we better talk about that, right? It needs to be a daily thing. When you're going to a sleepover, hey, remember, no one needs to be in the bathroom with you. You need to stay with your friend all the time. You don't need to be undressing in front of people. If anybody says something or does something that makes you uncomfortable, you call me. It's those little things that need to be spoken to your children as often as you're reminding them to brush their teeth and say please and thank you. It needs to be routine so that it's not something that makes them afraid. Absolutely. Does that make sense?
You know what? I can also say, and I'm going to be very, very straightforward from experience. Me, in this case, not, but a family that even a neighbor that just seems so like wonderfly friendly uncle.
To invest in.
It's not saying, okay, be cautious of everybody that, seems to be nice, but you've got to keep your guard up, period, as a parent.
Yeah.
I have told my kids in no uncertain terms, look, if anybody's got a right to take you out of this world, it's me because I helped bring you in. I won't, but I will protect you from everything. My kids are 19, and yet I'm still very protective of them, because they're still my kids. And your daughter, it was really, it's amazing. We have met, we have talked, and your daughter has been to my house, Osa.
Yes.
Her and my girls have been friends since, elementary school.
Elementary school.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it just didn't, I know, we're both like, where do I know that guy?
Yes.
We're going, please tell me it's a good reason.
Yes.
Please tell me
Oh, yeah.
You ever do that, though? You kind of like, I know that person. But now, do you also try to recruit foster families?
We are always recruiting foster parents.
Okay, and that's got to be a tough one. That's
very tough, and it's a strong need for foster parents in Georgia. What's happening now is sometimes we don't even have enough foster homes. That DFACs are still sleeping in hotels with foster children until we're able to place them in foster homes. But one of the things that we do at Care4All, part of our initial training with the foster parents, and it's kind of what makes us a therapeutic agency, we give foster parents a little bit more training than the average agency. So like to become a DFACS parent, let's say you need like 23 hours. It's called Impact. At Care4All, you need like 60 plus hours because we do discipline with care, handle with care, forms, policies, and procedures, understanding trauma, safe sleep, water safety. But one of the main trainings that we do is part of the Impact module, and I think it's module 12. And we talk a lot to the foster parents about sexual abuse and having that uncomfortable conversation with the children and, dealing with their own experiences because we all have past. We all have lived long enough to have experienced something in our adult life. So teaching them how to deal with their own past sexual abuse or sexual experiences, whether it be good or bad, so that when that foster child comes and knocks on their door and say, I don't want to go to grandma's house because of this, or I'm having dreams that this has been happening, I don't know if it's real, we try to equip our foster parents with the tools that they need to be therapeutic to the foster kids. So when the foster kids do disclose to them, they're able to parent them and they're able to deal with it as opposed to saying, oh no, we can't talk about that. You didn't come into custody because of that. No, I'm not going to do that because I know your mom and I supervise your visits. So we try to teach the parents how to address those uncomfortable conversations with those kids. But yes, we're always in need of foster parents.
I want to get that out there. So,
always in
this is a
need.
live show, but it's a podcast.
Yes.
So we may have, I've got my 2 listeners right now.
Yes.
Thanks, kids.
So I have a question for
Yes.
Veronica.
Yes.
What is a typical ideal foster parent?
Oh, a typical ideal foster parent. Very good question. So actually it's one that can pass a background check.
Stop it.
So
If that's all you need to do to be a foster parent in
that's
Georgia,
not all.
we have got a big problem.
That's the start. That's just the start.
Okay.
So first of all, you have to be willing. You have to be willing to be a foster parent, to invest in learning how to be a therapeutic foster parent. Of course, you have to pass a background check.
What is the difference between a therapeutic foster parent and a foster parent?
One of the main differences is a therapeutic parent, they are trained to handle specialty cases. So kids that's been sexually abused, we train them. We give them extra training. So for example, if you want to be just a regular parent and you want to go to a county, you just get 1 training. Let's say about 1 or 2 trainings. But to be a specialty or therapeutic foster parent, we give you about 60 plus hours of training, plus 24 hours of ongoing training annually. So we just had some professionals to come in from the Rape and Sexual Abuse Center. Is that where they were from?
Stewards of
Children training.
Stewards
We
of
just had
Children.
them come in to talk to our staff as well as our foster parents about, sex trafficking and all of those things. So we have different professionals to come in, as well as we do different specialty trainings with our foster parents. So that's what makes us different from the average agency. We give the parents the tools that they need to parent the children that's out here. The children that's traumatized.
But your parents are dealing with more severe cases.
More severe
accurate?
cases,
Right.
yes.
Okay. So when a severe case is coming into DFACS, they are looking to you
they
all
call
to be able to
Care4All.
support those children appropriately.
Yes.
Versus the DFACS
Yes.
foster parent down the road
Yes.
that just barely passed
Yeah.
the background check.
Well, no, it's
that was terrible.
well,
That
it was
kind of
it was. I was
defensive.
actually going to say more. It's so much more than just a background check, but that's the first thing. You have to be able to pass a background check. We actually send you. You have to have a physical done. You have to have so many references done. Right, because even with your physical, they actually even take your blood. So it's so much more than a background check because you have to have blood work done, and you have to pass so many clearances. We actually send you to the FBI to have fingerprint done. So when we get your fingerprint results, if they say not a candidate or a candidate. So the FBI pretty much got to clear you in order to be a foster parent at
That's
Care4All.
not a bad thing.
No, it's not a
That's
bad thing at all.
right?
No,
Not
not
at
at all.
all.
I mean, I agree with that 100%.
Really
Yeah.
important.
You know, I helped out with another foster children's group a while back, and you get foster parents that they become what the kids were taken away from.
Absolutely.
And then you get some
very
foster parents, they're
scary.
just doing it to get money.
Yeah, and
And
know
I've
those
seen
ones.
that.
You know
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
parents. You know it. That's why we do unannounced visits. I am the executive director, but last night I did an unannounced visit to a foster home.
Nice.
And Carla does unannounced visits, and sometimes we have to do it just to make sure that the children are still receiving the therapeutic support that they need from the parent, that the parents are not getting comfortable. We have meetings in the office every other month. We have trainings, so we never want the foster children to be treated like foster children. And we know when the parents are doing it for the money. We can tell them no. So we
try to screen them out.
We screen
from
them out
Yeah,
in
it's
the
not like
beginning.
they get enough to, a bunch of money.
No, it's not.
Right.
Yeah.
If their expectations are that low, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
You know?
We have some good people out here that's really doing this because they love children. We have some therapeutic foster parents at Care4All that only focus on medically fragile babies and medically fragile children. And when I tell you we have a group of nurses at Care4All that are foster parents.
Oh, wow.
And all they do is they take care of babies from CHOA. So these ladies are already certified pediatric nurses. They go to CHOA to become certified to be able to care for this child's medical needs. They bring the child in their home and they care for the children 24/7.
Wow.
So we have some very, very good foster parents
That's
at Care4All
amazing.
that are very invested. And especially that medically fragile population, we have some very strong foster parents. And we're actually proud of them. They do a great job.
That's awesome.
They do a great job.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah.
Between you and Alli and what she does for Revved Up Kids, there's a future.
Yes.
There's a future.
Yeah.
Sure hope so.
Oh, I know so.
And there's hope for the kids. There's hope for their future so that they won't have to relive their past and all of the trauma that they've experienced, that they can have successful lives. They can go to college. We love when we can report to the state of Georgia that this foster child is not aging out, but he's going to college. He's going to live on a college campus. Because a lot of foster kids don't do that. If they're not adopted and they age out, they don't get to go to college and experience the normal things that most adults get to experience. To get a driver's license, to get a car and drive, to get a job. So we try to encourage our foster parents when children are a certain age. We do what's called independent living skills with them, and we encourage them to build these children so they can be successful adults.
Anything you like to add, Miss Alli? Because I was given.
Am I allowed to make a plug about how you could support Revved Up Kids? If
By
you
all
happen
means,
to
I
be
was getting ready to ask you
listening
that.
To this
Yes.
podcast?
Yes, and you get to do it too.
And I'm sure that Care4All would agree. Small nonprofits don't have a lot of money to market to the public. We can't do 90-second infomercials every 2 hours all day on Saturday. So
Thank you.
we really rely on moments like this, Tom, where people allow us to have a voice and reach people with our mission. So for Revved Up Kids, my asks are always connect us with groups of children who could benefit from our training. So contact us about the children that you would like to see receive our training, and we will get that done. And then, of course, donate, because we charge tuition. If your group can afford it, for sure, we're going to ask you to pay tuition. But there are an awful lot of children whose families can't afford tuition, or children who are in foster care and really need this training. So we ask people to donate money to support that training. And even a donation as small as $15 can train a child at risk. So you don't have to give us thousands of dollars. If you wanted to,
if you want to, by all means,
more
please.
money, yeah. So our fundraising event is in March, and we're looking for corporate sponsors for that too. So
tell us a little bit, real quick, about that.
So we host an event in Johns Creek called Shamrock and Roll, and it is a St. Patrick's Day themed casino party. It's at the Atlanta Athletic Club. Probably many listeners have been there or seen it. A beautiful club in Johns Creek, and it's a really fun night, and we are looking for sponsors for that event. So
looking for sponsors.
Yeah. Those are my asks. Veronica, what you got? It's Christmas. I bet you got a lot of children that want Christmas presents.
I do. Carla, you want to talk about the...
So, we have lots of foster children, and they don't have a lot. They don't come with a lot. Many of them come with just the clothes on their back. And sometimes, as a matter of fact, we just got a sibling group of 6, 2 of which came with nothing but a diaper, not even clothes on the back.
I know about that.
So, we want our children to have wonderful clothes, nice clothes that same clothes that you would buy for your children, Make sure that our foster children have coats and scarves. But we also would like for all of our children to have tablets so that they can play on the tablet, be a kid, do their educational work. They can play Prodigy, work on their math, do RAS Kids, work on their language arts and reading so that they can be more productive and move forward in school. And a lot of times the foster parents cannot afford to buy tablets for every child that's in their home.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned before, we have a sibling group of 6, and it's very difficult for a foster parent to purchase tablets for 6 children. They would have to share. We have sibling groups of 5, sibling groups of 2, but these kids don't really have anything, and so that would be great. Coats, scarves, hats, tablets. Veronica?
So yes, we're asking for tablets now for our children, because even when it's a snow day and they get to have electronic day or something is called in Gwinnett County, when you get to do the homework,
virtual learning.
Our children would be able to do that, because right now they're not able to. But we not only ask for this stuff now at Christmas, but Care4All, we're always in need of donations.
Unfortunately, it's a year-long thing.
It's a year-long thing.
Foster care.
So what we do is we try to do a duffel bag campaign year-round, where we have duffel bags and we stuff them with basic toiletry items like soap, deodorant, toothbrush, toothpaste, basic things like that we give to foster children, not just at Foster Care Awareness Month, not just at Christmas, but we have children who come in with nothing. So Care4All will always benefit from fundings or from donations, because when we do get the large sibling group in, we like to go grocery shopping for the foster parent, because our goal is to keep the children together. If my kids, now they're of age, but if all 3 of them came into custody, I would want them to be together. So our goal is to keep large siblings together. And when that happens, we have a foster parent who is just her at home, but we're giving her 6 kids and we're telling her, we're going to pay you next month on the 20th or the 25th.
Right.
Imagine how she's going to take those kids, but imagine she's going to need groceries today.
Yeah.
She's going to need backpacks today and shoes today. So what our goal is, we need ongoing funding. We don't have any sponsors. The only funding that we get is what the state pays us.
And Lord knows that's not near enough.
It's not nearly enough to pay the foster parents, and we try to celebrate the kids' birthdays, because some of these kids don't have birthdays at home. So we try to celebrate the kids every chance we get, and so we would love to have funding so that we can support these kids throughout the year. We would love the tablets so we can give them. We'll have a Santa Claus, because we have someone who agreed to be our Santa already. We would love to be able to have a Santa Claus and give these kids these tablets for Christmas. But we would also like to give kids basic socks and shoes throughout the school year, backpacks throughout the school year.
Like I said, if we can schedule it, Santa will be there. Folks, Care4AllChildrenServices.com is where you go if you want to help out these wonderful ladies with those kids. Revved Up Kids .org.
Revved with 2 V's. R-E.
Yes.
V-V.
REVVEDUPKIDS.org. If you would like to help. Either way, you know what? It's time of giving. Give the both of them, for crying out loud. On that note, I am going to make a $100 donation personally for my wife and I to each of your organizations.
Aw,
Thank you.
That's wonderful.
Tom.
Thank you.
And again, let's see what we can put together, because I would love to be Santa Claus for your group.
Okay.
I enjoy it. My pay is the smiles. Okay.
Okay.
My bonus is the hugs. And my raise is when they want to come back and get another one.
All right. Wonderful.
But
Because it
only
just-
if they want the hug.
Only if
Tom.
they
They
want
want
it.
the
Yes.
hug, right.
Yes.
Maybe a high five is the other
High five will
option.
do it, or a knuckle
Yes.
bump, whatever they
Yeah.
want. But I mean, just that they are excited to see, Santa, and I get to try to make their day. Try to
Absolutely.
get them to forget about what's going on. So again, I will actually go to both your websites, and I will
Okay.
make that donation online
Okay.
Thank
for
you.
my
Thank
wife
you.
and I.
That's amazing.
Thank
Thank you.
And it's Care4All, the number 4, not F-O-R.
Yes,
It's the
yes,
number-
ladies, it has been an absolute pleasure. Well, thank you again.
Thank you,
You
Tom.
guys have a
Thank
great
you for
holiday.
having us.
Thank you
Yes,
for being
thank
here.
you.
Again, thank you, and have a great day.